So you noticed there was no music this morning wafting through the hallways. I was running a little bit late, but before that, Andy, we got it. Hey, it's MTV, and I'm your host, Pipewrench, and today we got Duran, a flock of seagulls. The shirt. That's right, it is the 80s. And speaking of the 80s, it was 80 last week. That's right. It is Monday, May 8th. Nice morning. We have some showers this week. Typical spring, Montana. Nothing too extreme, Andy, I see. Everything from 80s to 30s last week, but it was doable. The vinyl record search continues. Not much happening last week. Got a couple REOs this weekend and Deep Purple, but I'm still looking for Machine Head. Who do we think we are? Steely Dan. I know, I said there was no wafting of music this morning. The reason there wasn't any wafting of music is today's show was going to be about something, about crime and things, and it's going to be. But this morning I went up, I put the truck in the alley. It's raining, I was working on it this weekend, Monday morning. Get up, go drive. I have a flat tire, no big deal. Get up, go out, go look at it. There's like a screwdriver in there. So, victim of crime in Great Falls, I was. Did not report it. What am I going to do? There was a screwdriver in my tire. No camera. Not back in the alley anyway. But if it was, it would have been dark. Maybe truck was, So, crime is everywhere. And we've talked about it every week. We've talked about it, talked about it, and talked about it. But I sure have a theory on how it got so bad so quick. And we were talking about MTV in the 80s. And what happened in the 80s, Andy? We've talked about it before. In the 60s and the 70s and the 50s, organized crime pretty much ran the freaking country. You had the five families. Yeah, you did, okay? And basically, there became a war in the 80s with John Gotti and the war on the mob. And it was extremely successful. When that happened in the 80s, what else happened, Andy? 80s, late 80s, 90s. You betcha. Andy said gangs. And we sure had them. The rise of gangs. Bloods, Crips, Jamaican posses, East Side, West Side, South Side, North Side. Okay? The vacuum. Because, first of all, the mob, they kind of like are the police for crooks. So the Jamaican posse couldn't operate certain territories in New York because it was mob controlled, and in Los Angeles and Chicago, and therefore, like that. And when the 80s came, I told you we'd have an 80s theme for a while. Next up, Cyndi Lauper. When the 80s came, the organized crime fell. It was, okay, got a big vacuum of crime. Okay? Now you got the cartels. You got the gangs. You got M13. You've still got hangers on. You still got the West Sides, the East Sides. You still have all of that. Is the Irish and Italian mobs alive? And well, yeah, I think, Andy, they are. Are they as big? No, because we've seen the repercussions of it. So, yeah, there was no music this morning. You know, we got our MTV on. We got MTV. That's the 80s thing. It changed everything. We've changed. We have meth. When I was a kid, there was no meth. And I know you guys are going to be out there. Oh, bullshit! They had speed. They did have speed. And we did have other stuff, but the 60s and 70s didn't see crystal meth. Not in the scale that we see now. Not on the scale where you got guys making it in the backyard from Sudafeds. Okay? We had speed, we had homemade speed, but, you know, it took chemists. They're cooking. And it's just, God dang, Andy, it's just wild. You know, I mean, I'm driving, I get up, I don't even look at the tires of the car, you know. And it's a high traffic alley. Not going to say where, but we have a lot of traffic in that alley, going from point A to point B, and vice versa. Actually, Andy, they're going from here to there, and they're going from there to over here, and they're going through the alley. It was late. Dogs were already in. Cameras don't cover the alley, not really, because we have a big yard. It's just, so if you come in the yard, we got you. The alley, but yeah. So, victim of crime. And, you know, we're talking, I just got done talking, Andy, about crime families. But, you know, when people hear crime families, they're like I was earlier just a few minutes ago, and they're usually a reference to, you know, the Genovese, or the Lucchese, or the Colombo families, the Bonanno family, right? There's 5. What's the other one I'm missing? Anyway, or even maybe the Corleone family from The Godfather. You know. I know I can't hum it, because if I do, it's copyright infringement. Be messing with The Godfather. We also have a type of crime families that operate right under our noses, clear as day. And they do it in the nation's political arena. You know, and you're like, whoa, pipe, organized crime. So, bear with me. Instead of the 5 mafia families, we now have the 5 families of organized crime in politics. Oh, yeah. Organized. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When did it start? It started in the 80s. We have the 5 families in organized crime. He's like, who are they? What are you, owl? Well, I'll tell you. The Bush family, the Clinton family, the Obama family, the Trump family, and the Biden family. The 5 families in politics. The tactics. Now, wait a minute. The tactics that are used by these political families is very similar to the mafia when we talk about organized crime, the 5, okay? They establish, they establish a crime network of illegal or shady or questionable businesses. Every one of those families I mentioned do that, have done that. They use bribes, whether it be favors or money or contracts or any kind of, looking the other way to influence elected officials, okay? Okay. See, I'm making, okay? They use mobsters and or lawyers or bodyguards or acquaintances to enforce their policies, mentioning it, and eliminate enemies. And also, it's usually also corrupt cover-up of crimes that their lawyers are involved in, and they defend their wrongdoings in courts of law, in lawsuits. Okay? How many times it take to get Gotti to jail? Okay? Now, with the advent, I guess, of social media and Facebook and Twitter and all the other things that we do, and now it's not a secret anymore. It's harder to cover up the high crimes and misdemeanors for all to see. It's right out there. It's right out there. Now, sure. What? Right. Andy said they're not the only 5 families, aren't the only people worthy of mentioning. And, sure, you're correct. Before we had the Warren G. Harding, it was the Teapot Dome Scandal. That's what it was called. A 19-year-old, pregnant, she wasn't married, out of wedlock. Is that what? Yeah, that was a scandal. Nixon Watergate comes to mind. Really? Reagan, we did a whole show on the Iran-Contra situation. So, but now it seems different, Andy. It seems different, everybody. It seems like, Nixon was just in his office. I hate these hippies and blacks, and I don't like Jewish people, and I don't like anybody that agrees with me. And, Harding was just sleeping around, a la everybody in Washington. But now I said it seems different. It's more organized. It's more corrupt, if I would venture. We got Bush Senior. Okay, we had Bush family. So let's start with Bush Senior. That's the 80s. We got the Stray Cats. We're doing the MTV if you've just joined us. We have Bush Senior. Let's start with the Bush Senior. Do you remember his campaign? How, his whole campaign was racist when the whole thing was about Willie Horton, not the baseball player from the Detroit Tigers, the convicted guy in Massachusetts. Was it Massachusetts? Look that up for me, please. He committed war. We talk about Putin committing war crimes. Do you remember Desert Storm? That was Bush Senior. Iraq, Kuwait, civilians, infrastructure, schools, hospitals. But as a result of those, Desert Storm, Kuwait, they wreaked havoc. Salute to the guys that went. But as a result of that little Desert Storm, the Bush holdings in oil and infrastructure and rebuilding made billions, trillions. Andy, did I get that wrong? Andy's like doing the T, not time out, trillions of dollars off that war. Now remember, the Bush family is an oil family in Texas with ties of the royal Saudi family. Yeah. Remember that. Okay? Now, after the Bush fiasco, what did we have? Well, let's see. Who did I mention? The Clintons. We got the Clinton family, the Clinton crime family. Bill and Hillary was the godfather, the godmother of political organized crime. Jeez. Well, we had Whitewater in '92 as illegal investments. Travelgate. Yeah, Travelgate, 1993. They were traveling when they could tax money. Oh, yeah, I remember. We're going to mention Vince Foster death. This is all before the presidency and just beginning. And, of course, who can forget Paula Jones and Monica Lewinsky in 1993. I mean, oof. That was I liked Monica. I thought she was cute. Still is. Filegate, 96. It's not only, now, come on now, it's not only related just to Bill. Hillary's like, come on, Bill, I want to be involved. And so being involved, Benghazi, that's 2012, the Clinton Foundation in 2015, Andy, the payoff scandal where millions of dollars was being funneled here and there. And don't forget the private email servers. Okay? So, Clintons are thick as thieves. I see them, and you know who we see them hanging around with all the time? Bushes. And you know what? There's another Bush in the mix. That's right, the other Bush. George W. Bush continued the Bush tradition by invading the Middle East. Now, people say we had to invade who we invade because of 9/11, 2001. No. They were all Saudi nationals. They were all Saudi. They all came from Saudi Arabia. So it would make sense to me that if everybody involved in 9/11 was Saudi, that maybe we should, go to war or investigate or hammer or get down with the Saudi Arabia. But they were really good friends with the Bush family, royal families. So they didn't. They went and instead, don't forget, he stumbled through Katrina so bad. I mean, then he's ordering the invasion, like I said, of Afghanistan, Iraq. Iraq. I said Iraq. It's Iraq and rock. Oh, you got Iraq and rocket. It was Iraq, not Iraq. Well, they both have A's in it. One's long and one's short. We got Crocus and Motley Crue and Headbangers Ball this weekend on MTV. Remember the Great Recession in 2007? You guys are claiming Biden now, gas prices and this. You weren't around in 2007. Now, remember, while that war was going on, Bush's vice president, Dick Cheney, had the, mercenaries for hire and the rebuilding companies and the construction, Halliburton. And then during Bush's term of office and the war, they recorded biggest profits in history. So you got the Bush family, Clintons. What about Barack? What about the Obamas? Obama's first of all, he supported the 2010 Pickford versus Glickman multi-lawsuit that offered up what reparations would actually look like. He did more unrest for civil rights than anyone that I can remember. Fast and Furious scandal. No, not the movies with Vin Diesel. Involved, again, like the American and Iran-Contra, involved Americans giving guns to the enemies. Barack, what else? Libya, kickbacks over Ukraine, Crimea. He just left. He just let them just march right in. Donald Trump family. They have a list of indiscretions that would take a whole half hour and 45 minutes just to explain and just to list. Anything from defrauding students, workers, employees, grand larceny, criminal tax fraud, falsifying business records. That's what we see in indictments right today, as of Monday. Okay? What is it again? The 9th? Andy, what is it? It is the 8th. I didn't get that. It is. Casinos in New Jersey, it's well documented that the Trump family had dealings with fat Tony Salerno, Fat Tony, and well-known fixer for the mob, Roy Cohn. He's got investments, Trump family investments with the oligarchs in Russia. We all know who the oligarchs are. We all know what they're doing. So, even the Trump children, Eric, Donald Jr., and Ivanka, they're throwing each other under the bus. And speaking of under the bus, Andy, Biden family, crime family. Biden family is alive and well, man. Caroline is Joe Biden's niece. She got arrested in 2019 here, Andy. Okay. No, it's 2010, 19, you say, okay. DUI, no license suspended, skated. She also got arrested for spending more than $110,000 on a stolen credit card, not borrowed, stolen, Andy. Charges were tossed, went to treatment. Hunter's got laptops. I mean, you take them all, if you take it all, Andy, and put it together, it is just as corrupt. It is just as fixed as organized crime in any other facets. The definitions, and I broke them down, are there. They do the same thing. They do it so we can watch them do it on the nightly news, on our app. We talk about it on Facebook. But people aren't talking about the laptop. People aren't talking about the Trump indictments. People aren't talking about some of the stuff still that Obama did or Hillary. We're all still talking about it, or at least some people are. And that's just the way it is. It's just that's how politics is. But we've got some real organizations. At events, you see, it's like the Obamas and the Clintons. No, Trumps don't sit with them all. I think he did it himself. I think he alienated them and didn't want to be part of that club. And some people are like, yeah, well, that's because, he's got to drain the swamp and, and not political, and we're still waiting. Okay. So, of all these 5 families, I'm thinking to myself, Andy, I'm really thinking now, I'm going, wait a minute. Where's a Kennedy when you need one? Where's a Kennedy? And then all of a sudden I think, not so fast, cowboy. Kennedy Empire was built by Joe, running illegal liquor during Prohibition in the 30s. A bootlegger. Organized crime. So I guess the Kennedys, you could throw the Kennedys in there. Something to ponder, Andy. It's the same actions. They do the same things that other or do, and very rarely do they suffer any repercussions. I mean, I was reading this stuff you were putting up there. They've been doing impeachable offenses, criminal offenses since Johnson. Man. All NBA finals are full swing, and of course, this last weekend was Kentucky Derby weekend. This weekend, kind of, I don't know, Andy. Saturday, Mage won the 149th Kentucky Derby as America celebrated once again, the biggest horse racing event of the year. I thought it was overshadowed by the deaths of seven horses in the Derby build-up. 2 horses, Chloe's Dream and Freezing Point, died just hours before the race at Churchill Downs in Louisiana. Earlier last week, what was his name? Is it Safi, Andy? It's Safi Joseph Jr. was suspended after 2 of his horses, Parents' Pride and Chasing Artie, died. Now, we got Wild on Ice, Take Charge Brianna, Code of Kings. They also died last week. That's 7 horses, 5 days. Churchill Downs, of course, released the statement that, Churchill Downs is unwavering in the commitment and health and well-being of equine safety. Meanwhile, the favorite, 40, was among the horses removed from the race. Damn, Andy, it was the smallest field that we've had since, 2020 because of the pandemic. I hear that's over. Was it ever here? I know. It was like, the Derby was a fiasco. It was just, well, at least we got to watch and see on live TV. Was it High 16 died right there on national TV, falling at the first fence frame, right there at the first. Brought the trailer out. Why do they kill them when they break their legs? Maybe someone could mention and give us ask why do they shoot? How do they kill them and why do they kill them? You know, I mean, so what? They can't race. They just broke. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I got to watch it on live TV this weekend at the Churchill Downs. So, have we had problems in the racing industry? Yes, we have. Remember all the problems that they had in Santa Ana. You know, oh yeah, thank you, Andy. Andy says over 100 horses have died. He's holding up 4 years, 4 score. William Tell, the open fort. Okay, so you're also doing this at the same time. So, organized crime in the streets, crime at my house, crime in Great Falls, national crime everywhere is alive and well. Do I have a solution? I don't. Signing the safety levy for Great Falls for more cops on the street would have stopped someone from walking down our alley and sticking a screwdriver in my tire. I doubt it. Andy, we gotta go. Remember to love and kiss your dogs. Adopt, don't shop. Spay and neuter. Rescue. Adopt a shelter pet today. That's right, you. Adopt a shelter pet today. Quit buying puppies. Quit buying this, buying that. Go rescue a dog right now. Okay? And when you get it, if he or she is not spaded or neutered, then make sure you do that. So until next week, Andy, what? Andy says what? Andy says May 8th is what? May 8th is National Coconut Cream Pie Day. May 8th is National Coconut. Here it is. May 8th is National Coconut Cream Pie Day. So adopt, don't shop, spay and neuter. Let's go get some coconut cream pie. Andy, you're not shitting. Look it up. Google it. Let's all go get pie.